Grey's Anatomy celebrates 450 episodes, a look back at the most unforgettable moments and what's next in Season 22. After 22 seasons and 450 episodes, Grey's Anatomy continues to be the emotional heartbeat of television. From heartbreaking losses to inspiring recoveries, the series has taken fans on a roller coaster of love, grief, and resilience, and it shows no signs of stopping. Some episodes have defined Grey's Anatomy's legacy, like Season 2's Into You Like a Train, where Derek must make an impossible life-or-death decision, or Losing My Religion, forever tied to Snow Patrol's chasing cars. We've cried through George O'Malley's tragic end, Derek Shepherd's devastating death in How to Save a Life, and Meredith's silent struggle in the Denzel Washington-directed The Sound of Silence. Each episode reminds us why this show remains one of TV's greatest emotional sagas. Now, Grey's Anatomy enters a new era with Season 22. The explosive premiere saw tragedy strike Grey Sloan Memorial once again, claiming the life of Dr. Monica Beltran and leaving the doctors shattered. But amid the chaos, a small, powerful moment between Meredith Grey and Nick Marsh marked a major shift in Meredith's character. For once, love came before medicine. Episode 2, titled We Built This City, airs Thursday, October 16th on ABC and marks the show's 450th milestone. Fans can expect Maggie Pierce's emotional return, Amelia's deep grief, and Link's struggle to recover while pushing himself too far. As creator Shonda Rhimes reflects on the show's future, even she admits she doesn't know how it will end, because Grey's Anatomy now belongs to its fans. After nearly 2 decades, the message remains the same: love, loss, and survival, one surgery at a time. Hey lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Grey's Anatomy Official. 450 Grey's Anatomy episodes later, these are the ones we're still not over. For 22 seasons, Grey's Anatomy has been known for being emotionally devastating. There is joy and romance and dancing it out in Seattle's busiest fictional hospital, but there is also crying. So much crying. These are life and death stakes, people. And while so many episodes out of the now 450 installments of the medical drama make us reach for some tissues the first time we see them, there's an elite group of them that make us cry over and over again every single time we watch them, even when we know exactly what's coming and when. It's a true feat, especially for some of these episodes that originally aired 2 decades ago. It's an achievement to be celebrated, if only so we can all commiserate with others who know the deep emotional pain that is being a Grey's Anatomy fan. Here are the episodes of Grey's that still make us cry, no matter how long it's been or how many times we've seen them. Make sure you hydrate. Into You Like a Train. Season 2, Episode 6. Ask any Grey's Anatomy fan which episodes still make them sob, and there's no doubt that Into You Like a Train is one of the first out of their mouths. It's not that Grey's Anatomy wasn't wildly compelling before this episode, but I don't think anything had emotionally destroyed audiences quite like watching Derek Shepherd have to tell his impaled during a train crash patient Bonnie that she would have to die in order for the other, more likely to be saved patient Tom to live. It was a portend of what was to become par for the course on this show. The entire episode is gut-wrenching, from Meredith screaming for someone to help Bonnie in the ER, she sees herself in the young woman, to Derek having to give Bonnie's fiancé her final words, if love was enough, she'd still be here, to the iconic scene in which Bailey stops the elevator to let Derek have a moment to break down. It's devastating from top to bottom, and it's one of those episodes that can make you cry if you simply think about it for long enough. Losing My Religion. Season 2, Episode 27. Do we still weep when Alex Karev lifts Izzy Stevens off the body of her dead fiancé Denny whilst in her fake prom gown as she sobs, because it still moves us all these years later, or simply because, through 2 decades of training, Grey's Anatomy has taught us that we always must cry when Snow Patrol's chasing cars starts playing? Honestly, it's probably a little of both. That song remains an absolute wrecking ball to my fragile emotional infrastructure. 6 Days, Part 2-inch. Season 3, Episode 12. The episode in which George's sweet dad, Harold O'Malley, dies at Seattle Grace is one that will keep you misty-eyed from start to finish. Which is the worst part? When George screams at his dad's surgeons, Weber and Bailey, that they knew better than to continue with Harold's surgery when his body, riddled with cancer, was too weak to withstand it. When George's mother and brothers look to him to tell them if it's time to take Harold off life support. when they do take him off life support. Or the one that really gets me worked up, when it's Christina, of all people, who finds a way to comfort George by informing him that, unfortunately, he's now a member of the Dead Dad Club. When he tells her that he doesn't know how to exist in a world without his dad, she tells him that feeling never really goes away. In her own honest but vulnerable way, Christina lets George know he's not alone in this loss. Some kind of miracle. Season 3, Episode 17. Meredith finds Alice in her limbo afterlife and gets to hear her mother tell her she's extraordinary. Christina demands that the other doctors keep working on a, for all intents and purposes, dead Meredith, and then when Meredith does make her miraculous recovery, a teary-eyed Christina thanks her for not dying. Weber, at the bedside of a dead Alice, tells her he misses the sound of her voice. You knew the episode detailing how Meredith survives following her drowning at the ferry crash was going to be a doozy. But this? No one was prepared for this. Sweet surrender. Season 5, Episode 20. The doctors on Grey's Anatomy are always talking about the patients who stick with them. But what about the patients who stick with us, the audience? One of those patients surely must be sweet Jessica, Mary Charles Jones, who has a terminal case of Tay-Sachs disease, and when we come across her, she has mere hours to live. Her father, Mitt Eldon Henson, refuses to accept it. He wants to take Jessica to Mexico for an experimental treatment he read about. Arizona and Bailey have to continually try to talk him out of this plan. As he frantically runs around the hospital, Bailey winds up holding Jessica as she gets weaker and weaker. It's Bailey who finally gets through to Matt in Jessica's final minutes. Although he begs her not to tell him to stop, Henson's performance is gutting. Bailey tells Matt that Jessica needs her dad now, and he takes her in his arms and talks to her while she takes her last breath. Now or never / good morning. Season 5, Episode 24 and Season 6, Episode 1. You can't watch one of these episodes without the other, and both will make you burst into a puddle of tears, so that's fun. The image of Meredith Grey running into the hallway yelling, "It's George." After realizing the disfigured dying guy who got run over by a bus and has been writing 007 in her hand is actually one of her closest friends, is seared into our brains for all eternity. The one of Alex crying against the wall as Weber, Bailey, and Christina fight to bring Izzy back after she crashes is not far behind it. And the one of Izzy and George meeting in the afterlife elevator? Real fans know we had to wait an entire summer to see what happened after that one. The episode following the intense, Now or Never, chronicles everyone processing their grief in the aftermath of George's death. It's less propulsive and more cathartic and offers the audience some time to silently weep for 42 minutes, which is nice. Sanctuary / Death and All His Friends. Season 6, Episodes 23 and 24. Another pair of episodes that amount to emotional terrorism. The hospital shooting episodes are among the series' best and are about as intense and heart-pounding as Grey's gets, as disgruntled widower Gary Clark comes to Seattle Grace Mercy West seeking justice after his wife dies. From the shocking moment Mr. Clark kills Reed and his rampage begins until the end of the 2 hours, which comes after Mr. Clark turns his gun on himself in front of Weber, and Christina is able to save Derek's life. The show is unrelenting in its carnage and emotional trauma. There are lots of scenes from these 2 episodes that are unforgettable as much as we try, but it's the storyline between Bailey and Dr. Charles Percy that keeps me up at night. After doing everything she can think of to keep him alive after he's shot, she drags him out to the elevators, only to realize they've been shut down because of the lockdown, and all she can do is sit with him as he dies. Everyone in this scene, Chandra Wilson, Robert Baker, and Mandy Moore as Mary, a patient unfortunately along for the ride, will move you to tears. Buckets of them. Disarm. Season 7, Episode 11. The tension is so palpable throughout this entire episode, which has the Seattle Grace Mercy West doctors handling 26 gunshot wound victims after a shooter opens fire at a nearby college not long after their own mass shooting, that when we watch as all of our main characters experience this overwhelming moment of catharsis upon learning that they saved every single one of those patients, that no one died. The audience feels it too. They are crying and laughing together in that art gallery as Christina and Teddy finish their surgery, and we are crying and laughing too. Mostly crying, but that's just how Grey's goes. Unaccompanied Minor. Season 7, Episode 22. Most of the episodes on this list have to do with the Grey's Anatomy doctors dealing with emotional and traumatic situations, to say the absolute least. But Unaccompanied Minor gets all of its emotional heft from the supporting cast playing family members, waiting to hear news about their loved ones after a plane crash in Puget Sound. The news is, not great. All passengers, save for one young girl who was flying alone, die. When some of the family members, still reeling from their own losses, learn that the girl is in surgery and her own parents are still on their way to the hospital, they decide to stay and wait so she has people in her corner. When her mother arrives, they support her too, never revealing that they've all just suffered unimaginable losses. Shout out to Beverly Todd, who plays Gilda, the woman leading the charge to make sure the little girl isn't alone. When she sobs at the end of the episode, I sob. Every single time. Suddenly. Season 8, Episode 10. What's more emotionally devastating? Watching Christina have to tell her mentor Teddy that her husband, Henry, died in surgery and everyone's been lying to her about it for hours, or watching as an 18-year-old has to decide whether to keep her father on life support after she's just seen that both her mother and grandmother have died in a car accident, and she has become the sole guardian to her two younger siblings. Guess what? This heartbreaking episode doesn't make you choose. You get both. Hey, at least you'll end the episode crying tears of joy when Meredith and Derek finally become Zola's parents. That's a silver lining, right? Maybe. I can't tell anymore. Flight. Season 8, Episode 24. Let's be honest. Does anyone want to watch the plane crash episode? No. It's harrowing. Arizona's screams that haunt Christina? Well, they haunt me too. But we do it because we're Grey's Anatomy completists. And we do it over and over again because we're masochists. I mean fans. This is our truth. Another truth. All I need to do is hear Mark say the line, "We're gonna have the best life, Lexi, you and me," and I am instantly in tears. That's all it takes. Going, gone. Season 9, Episode 1. On paper, it seems like kicking off Season 9 by jumping a month post-plane crash to show us how everyone is moving forward would be a gentle way to ease viewers back into Grey's Anatomy. The real aftermath is revealed in the following episode. But once you realize this episode is about turning off Mark's life support and all of the people who loved him most saying goodbye, there's nothing easy about it. The use of old home videos of Mark throughout his life is especially moving. The one of him holding baby Sophia as she sleeps? Forget it. It is a fitting final tribute to an all-time great Grey's Anatomy character. All I could do was cry. Season 11, Episode 11. Well, cry is in the episode title, so what do you expect? After learning in a previous episode that their child has the most severe type of a birth defect, osteogenesis imperfecta, and will not live long after birth, April Kepner and Jackson Avery decide to induce labor so that the baby, a boy, will not be in pain any longer. They hold Samuel and each other after he's born, until he takes his last breath. They are devastated. Their friends at the hospital are devastated. We are too. It's one of the most emotionally exhausting episodes in the bunch. How to Save a Life. Season 11, Episode 21. It's actually impressive that Shonda Rhimes found a way to make the death of one of the original and most beloved characters on the series even worse than simply having Derek die in a car accident after spending his afternoon saving a bunch of people following their own accident. How did she do it? She had Derek narrate everything these doctors at the small hospital he's brought to are doing wrong. He knows that he could have a chance to survive this if his doctors were more skilled, but he can't speak. He can only watch as they make mistakes. It's brutal. But if you aren't crying by then, never fear. Eventually, we have to watch as Meredith shows up, learns what happened, and has to say goodbye to the love of her life. Has anyone ever really recovered from this episode? The Sound of Silence. Season 12, Episode 9. An absolute brutal watch, and yet it's one of Grey's Anatomy's best episodes. Yes, out of all 450 of them. Directed by the Denzel Washington, much of this episode is in complete silence, giving the audience a better idea of what Meredith is going through after she loses her hearing and her ability to speak, her jaws wired shut, after she is brutally attacked by a patient in a fugue state. Her talk with Weber about forgiveness? We're in tears. When she has a panic attack after her kids are too frightened by the way, she looks to come give her a hug. Sobbing. But what really leaves me a weepy mess is the look on Alex's face when he sees Meredith on the gurney, bruised and broken. Ellen Pompeo and Justin Chambers are forces of nature in this episode. Grey's Anatomy's Meredith's character shifted with this one season 22 premiere line. Grey's Anatomy season 22 started with a bang, as it picked up right after the explosion that rocked Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital. But one line stated by Dr. Meredith Grey Ellen Pompeo that got lost in the chaos was so important that it shifted her entire character. Meredith witnessed the explosion and broke into the clinic in order to set up a makeshift emergency room to tend to patients during the tragedy. The Grey's Anatomy Season 22 premiere also featured the death of Dr. Monica Beltran, Natalie Morales, the near-death of Dr. Atticus Lincoln, Chris Carmack, as well as plenty of other drama among the many doctors on the show. However, although it was easy to miss or forget, one simple line at the very beginning of the episode showed Meredith's growth as a character and set up her Season 22 journey. Meredith called Nick right after the hospital explosion. After Meredith witnessed the floor explosion, she immediately called her boyfriend, Dr. Nick Marsh, Scott Speedman. At the very beginning of the episode, Meredith was seen talking on her cell phone, stating, "Hi, Nick. It's me. Listen, something happened at the hospital, and you're gonna hear about it on the news. But just know that I'm okay. I love you." Usually, Meredith's first instinct is to rush into doctor mode in order to help people in need. However, this time, she immediately thought of Nick and how he'd be worried when he heard about the hospital explosion. Meredith did the right thing by calling Nick to let him know that she was okay before getting so wrapped up in her doctor duties that she'd be unable to stop to speak to him. In addition, saying "I love you" to him was a very significant moment. Meredith thought of Nick above everything else for once throughout their Grey's Anatomy romance. Meredith has treated Nick more like a doormat than a cherished boyfriend. She's repeatedly taken him for granted. She decided to move to Boston without discussing it with him first, making him feel as though he wasn't really a part of her life. Meredith also lashed out at Nick when he rushed her son, Bailey, to the hospital when he was suffering from early appendicitis when she was away. Instead of thanking him, she berated him for making a medical decision regarding her son without her consent. Although Meredith eventually explained that she'd been doing things on her own for a long time, and it would take a minute for her to adjust to having Nick to help her, her harsh reaction was unacceptable. Meredith's Grey's Anatomy Season 22 premiere phone call to Nick was easy to forget because the premiere was so jam-packed with emotion and action. However, it was a really important moment for her because it proved that her relationship with him could really work. While a woman calling her boyfriend to tell him she's okay after a catastrophe is expected, Meredith usually puts her career ahead of everything else, so the fact that she thought of Nick first at that moment instead of leaving him to wonder if she'd survived the blast was monumental for their relationship. Meredith and Nick seemed doomed because of her unwillingness or inability to fully welcome him into her life. However, Meredith's considerate phone call and heartfelt "I love you" proved that she's grown as a person. It's a welcome shift in her character that will hopefully lead to her continuing to move forward with her relationship with Nick during Grey's Anatomy Season 22. What to expect from Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2. We built the city after the catastrophic events of the season premiere. The doctors at Grey Sloan Memorial begin to move forward on Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2. We built the city. Link works to recover from his injuries, but runs the risk of pushing himself too hard. Meanwhile, Amelia is grieving deeply, and Maggie comes to visit in hopes of helping support her. Here's everything you need to know about this episode, including the air date, cast, promo, and how to watch. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2 Details. Title: We Built This City. Air date: Thursday, October 16, 2025. Time: 10 of 9c. Network: ABC. How to watch Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2 Description. The team at Grey Sloan navigates a chaotic first day of surgical rotations amid hospital renovations. Meanwhile, Meredith spends time with Amelia. Guest stars and returning characters. Cast: Chandra Wilson, Kevin McKidd, Kim Raver, Katarina Scorsone, James Pickens Jr., Chris Carmack, Camilla Luddington, Anthony Hill, Jason George, Alexis Floyd, Adelaide Kane, Harry Shum Jr., Nico Tero, Trevor Jackson, Ellen Pompeo. Notable returns: Kelly McCreary as Maggie Pierce. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2 New promo reveals Maggie's return. Know what Shonda Rhimes hints about the show's future? Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 2 promises more drama at Grey Sloan Memorial as Maggie Pierce makes a surprising comeback. The new promo teases hospital chaos, emotional twists, and challenges for the doctors. Fans are eagerly waiting to see how relationships and hospital dynamics unfold in the upcoming episode. After an emotional and intense season premiere, Grey's Anatomy is back again with more drama, heartbreak, and surprises at Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital. The long-running medical series, which has now entered its 22nd season, opened with the shocking episode Only the Strong Survive, where Dr. Monica Beltran, played by Natalie Morales, tragically died after being crushed in an equipment collapse caused by an explosion. The loss left Amelia Shepherd, Katerina Scorsone, devastated, setting up the emotional arc for what's to come next. Maggie Pierce returns in Episode 2. The story will continue in Episode 2, titled We Built This City, which airs on Thursday, October 16, 2025, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC, and will be available for streaming the next day on Hulu. The upcoming episode marks a major milestone for the show, its 450th episode, and features the much-awaited return of Kelly McCreary as Maggie Pierce. In the new episode, Maggie returns to support Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, and Amelia as they deal with grief following Monica's death. Fans last saw Maggie briefly in Season 20 when she signed her divorce papers with Winston Diggu Anthony Hill. Her return now adds a new emotional layer, especially since Winston's relationship with Jules Millen, Adeline Kane, seems to be growing. Viewers are eager to see how Maggie's presence will affect the pair and what role she will play in the hospital's new chapter. Will Grey's Anatomy ever end? As the series heads toward nearly 2 decades on air, many fans can't help but wonder when it might all come to an end. Even creator Shonda Rhimes isn't sure. Speaking on NBC's Today Show on October 13th, she said, "To be at 450 episodes is amazing, and really all because of the fans and the fact that they've kept watching the show and they've stuck with it and they're excited and invested." When asked about how she plans to wrap up the story someday, Rhimes admitted, "I'd say back at around episode 150, I knew how it was going to end. Now we're at 450, I have no idea. I mean, I wasn't sure we would get past season 4 or 5, so the fact that we're here in season 22 is insane." Rhimes also said that the show's fate may now depend more on the viewers than on her. "I feel like at this point, that decision is not mine as much as it is the fans. I want everybody to end in a really positive, great way." Since premiering in 2005, Grey's Anatomy has followed the personal and professional lives of doctors at Grey Sloan Memorial. Over the years, it has said goodbye to several beloved characters. Now, 22 seasons later, Grey's Anatomy continues to evolve, bringing new faces, emotional twists, and heartfelt moments that keep fans glued to their screens. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.